Doing today, everyone? Thank you, Amit. I'm good too. Just wanted to a new look. I just got a haircut, guys. Yeah, today I got a haircut. Good that you guys noticed. Thank you, Sweta. Guys, today is a very exciting and important day for me because I finally get the chance to teach you JavaScript. And JavaScript is one of my favorite programming languages, right? Only after C++. Okay, now fine. Now JavaScript has taken the place of C++ because I've been working on it for quite some time. I also wanted to share that I'm one of the core contributors to JavaScript, the language itself, right? So there are some parts of the JavaScript engine which have been written by me. And yeah, I like to brag about it. And that's why I'm telling you guys. So this is something that I deeply love. And I think if we do this right for the next couple of weeks, you guys are going to be the best batch of JavaScript that there has been. Okay, so so just be very attentive in all the things. I'll make it super simple, believe me, simpler than anything that you have ever seen, because I know it from the very root, right? So don't worry, we'll get into every small aspect, nitty-gritty of it. And of course, now I'll do the obvious step, which is sharing my code screen. So give me a second. And now finally, I will not be hiding my .js files from you, because I mean, of course, I'll be hiding because you're not going to understand anything in there. But yeah, so just give me a second. JavaScript. And of course, I'll use the browser right now because you guys don't know what Node is about yet. Okay, so this is the browser and this is the editor. Guys, can you see both of the screens, editor and the browser? Awesome. So this is the editor. Okay, don't read this. This will just scare you and raise a lot of questions for me. Okay, I'll just open the file. File. What is wrong with this here? Visual Studio Code. Give me a second, guys. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll go to desktop. I'll say cd Newton open code dot. Yes. Can share and then this guy. Yeah, done. Cool. So browser and this guy. Don't worry, Azhar, we'll be starting with JavaScript today. You've not missed anything, believe me, we've just started. Guys, you can see the screen, right? This code is visible now, Mayank? Awesome, yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's open the browser first because, okay, so what is JavaScript is the big question for today, right? And I would like to tell you like this. JavaScript is one of the most popular languages in the world, right? It's a fact. It is also one of the most misunderstood languages, right? So when I say misunderstood, what I'm trying to tell you is a lot of people think that they understand JavaScript, but they don't, right? And JavaScript is very convoluted in this sense. Convoluted ka matlab hota hai chupi hui, right? So chupi hui kyun hai JavaScript? Because you look at a function, aapko lagega ki wo ek series mein execute hoga, right? But what ends up happening is something completely different, right? So a lot of people, जिनको JavaScript नहीं समझ में आती है, जैसे बहुत ज़्यादा लोग हैं, they would say that JavaScript is an unpredictable language, right? मतलब C++ की तरह नहीं है, या Java की तरह नहीं है, जहाँ पे सब कुछ line by line चलता है, right? So it's very confusing for most people. The reason for that is the first point, जो मैंने आप लोगों को बताया, it is world's most misunderstood language, right? Not because it's hard to understand, but because the attitude that we adopt to learning a language, right, is we just want to solve tasks, right? आपको आपका assignment करना है. People who are working in their jobs, उनको उनका काम करना है, right? So no one really cared about the language, right? Which causes a lot of problem, right? Because you end up with a workforce which is not skilled enough, right? Which is a very bad thing, right? So yeah, this is about JavaScript, and what I mean, that is what the general perception is. What I will tell you, JavaScript is one of the easiest languages, right? And it's very easy to learn, right? If you just get if you get few basics right. Guys, this is not a recommendation from Newton School, but I would want to give all of you a book, okay, a PDF, of course, right, which I would want you to read. And if you guys read it, मुझे पता है ज़्यादातर लोग नहीं करेंगे, only 5% people will read it, or even lesser, or whatever, right? It's going to make a hell lot of difference between the kind of developer that you can become at the end of this course, okay? Because most of you who are going to get a job are going to get a job because of how proficient you are in JavaScript, okay? Because see, there are two things about it. One is, if you want to crack the biggest guys, right? अगर आपको Amazon में जाना है, आपको Facebook में जाना है, आपको Google में जाना है, या फिर Netflix में जाना है, the FAANG companies, right? Then you have to be damn good at the basics, right? So basics में, to be damn good at basics, you just have to मतलब मैं जो पढ़ा रहा हूँ, those are all the basics that you need to know. Believe me, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं आएगा. No one is going to ask it. But the problem is you need to constantly revise them, understand them. Because if you don't do that, you will inevitably start forgetting things and all those things, right? So if I put it in numbers, right? अगर आप ये book पढ़ते हैं और आप ये book नहीं पढ़ते हैं, the difference that is going to be is huge. These are the kind of things which make which is the difference between a person who is just out of college, a fresher who's making 6 lakhs a year, and the other guy who's making 30 lakhs a year, right? It's all there in the basics, right? How much depth are you able to build up in the next 6 months is going to determine a lot of things in your life, okay? So I'm explaining this, but okay, I understand. Only 5 of you, or even lesser, are going to pick this up, which is unfortunate, because I'm right here and I'm telling you. So yeah, right. The point is, I'm just going to give you that book, but I will give that book to you at the end of the lecture. Reason is, अगर मैंने अभी दे दिया तो सब लोग खोलेंगे उसको, and you guys will not focus, right? But believe me, I have every intention of giving you that book, of course. It's an online book here, so problem to hai nahi, I just have to share a link, right? So I don't want you to do that, but if you start reading it, it's going to make a hell lot of a difference. Okay? Cool. So this is the approach to this language, right? Very soon we will start deep diving into it, and then things will change. Okay? So abhi ye sab baatein bata raha hu because aaj first class hai, right? And this is where the coding bit starts, right? Ab tak HTML की बातें कर रहे थे यार, CSS की बातें कर रहे थे, तो things were not that complicated, right? मतलब ठीक है, media query है, ये है, वो है, there is a lot of surface area, no doubts about that, but learning to code, right? मतलब learning to program, learning to write logic is something which is starting only today, right? Right? And that is the reason that I want to, just put this out there. Whenever I teach someone, I do this because whether you pick it up or not, it's my duty, I feel, to deliver you the best possible content, right? And this is the best possible content. Padhai ek taraf hai, and the attitude is on one side. If you guys do not have the attitude of building depth, if it's only about code likhna hai, kuch karna hai, assignment solve karna hai, then it does not work in the long run, yaar, right? So I'm saying these things because I want all of you to become super successful at whatever you do. So enough talking. we are going to begin with JS, okay? And let's just understand what this is about, okay? So by the way, why are we talking about JS? Because JavaScript is the language of, it is the language of, anyone? It is the language of browser, right? So the browser understands language. जैसे ही हमने ये चीज बोल दी, everything changes, okay? Why does everything change? Because आपके ब्राउजर पे जितने भी एक्शंस होने वाले हैं, राइट? मे बी तो अभी तक हमने क्या किया यार, हमने वी हैव बिल्ट पेजेस लाइक रिस्पॉन्सिव था ना इसका नाम, रिस्पॉन्सिव, we what okay I have made it and changed the folder, it's inside Newton-1. Okay, good. So we made some flex boxes, we've done a lot of things, right? But now is the time when we actually dive deep and start changing their behavior, right? So JavaScript ka in some sense, the idea is to change the behavior of DOM, right? Or document object model, right? Or HTML, right? तो हम उसके साथ ही begin करते हैं, right? So let's just start talking about it, okay? So the first thing that I want to tell you about is आप क्या कर सकते हैं JS को use करके, उसकी बात कर लेते हैं, right? Okay. So I mean, just to show you a capability, okay? So the first capability that I just wanted to talk about is, let's say I just open this browser, okay? I just open this console, right? Guys, ये जो browser का console है, this is also, मतलब a lot of people are very quickly start asking questions like JavaScript को चलाते कैसे हैं यार, होती कैसे है, right? मतलब how do I get JavaScript? How do I download JavaScript? JavaScript कोई free software है क्या? तीनों सवाल का जवाब अभी दे देता हूँ, right? So how do I get JavaScript? You don't have to get JavaScript or download JavaScript. It's always with you. ठीक है? The moment you open Chrome का console, यहाँ पे JavaScript is running, right? So आप यहाँ पे JavaScript का कोड लिख सकते हैं. That's what I mean. ठीक है? So there's nothing about downloading it. आपको पता है JavaScript and all those things, right? Second important thing, JavaScript कोई software नहीं है. JavaScript is something which is free, right? It's a free software, so to say. Right? It's a free language which is available all around you, be it in the form of browser or in the form of something called as Node, which we don't have to worry about right now. And yes, that's about it. Okay, so just since we are starting it, a very quick introduction to what it can do. Take example, right? So what is the date today, right? So in JavaScript, there is a function, right, which is called date.now. And I said date.now, and this is actually the date today, and you guys are looking at me, ये तो number है यार, बड़ा सा इसमें date क्या है, right? So basically this is called an epoch timestamp. This shows the number of milliseconds which have passed since 1970 1st January. That's a convention that we take in computer science, right? Okay. That's a convention which is taken in computer science, okay? It zoomed enough, isn't it? Now, okay. So I just said date.now, and this I got this big huge number, right? Whatever it is, but don't worry about it. I'll write another one, which will give you a better looking date. Okay, this is acceptable, right, for us? I said new date, or आपको ये date दिख गई, right? So let's say, I mean, just because I'm not, I want to tell you what kind of things that there are that we can do with JavaScript, right? So the first thing that I want to talk about here is, let's say there is this box, right, which is called item 2. Okay, let's say आपको ये वाला जो content था guys, इसको यहाँ पे डालना था, right? Okay, so right now the only mechanism that you guys know of selecting a box, right, is you know CSS, right? आपको पता है CSS पे यार selector डाल दें. If it's item 2, let's look at item 2 एक बार समझने के लिए. So item 2 has a class which is called grandchild2, right? Okay. So we know that grandchild2 is one of the ways that I can select it. अब CSS से कैसे select करते हैं? It's a class dot class का नाम और आपने जो भी लिखना था आपने लिख दिया, right? ठीक है guys. Now I want to do the same selection using JavaScript. Okay, so I'm going to write some JavaScript, of course. The JavaScript that I'm going to write is document, right? And what I'm writing document, iska matlab hota hai, this is the whole page, right? And this has a function on it, which is called get element by class name. Okay. So when I do this and I put iski class ka naam yahan pe, the name of the class, or it's called a string, it's put inside these brackets, right? I'm copying this and pasting this, right? I said enter, and there's something called as an array. Don't worry about it. So aapko kya mil gaya, guys? You're getting this guy, right? So it's JavaScript is returning this box to you, correct? Guys, please refrain from just typing random things on the chat. It really distracts me. मैं chat बंद कर दूं? Shall I close the chat? ठीक है. Let me just talk for some time, and उसके बाद we'll get to discussion. ठीक है? Okay. Right. So what I've done, guys, I've said document.get elements by class name, right? And it has given me, it's returning me this div, right? Now, a div to मिल गया भाई, right? अब आप उसमें चीजें भी तो change कर सकते हो ना? You can change anything, right? So I'll talk about one property of HTML elements, right? So these are called HTML elements. जो भी चीज है, div है, A है, P है, जितने भी यार आपने टैग सुने हैं ना, वो सब HTML elements होते हैं. और अगर JavaScript की भाषा में थोड़ा सा बोलें, so they are called DOM nodes. Okay? DOM मतलब डॉक्यूमेंट ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडल, जिसका मतलब सिर्फ HTML होता है, कुछ फैंसी नहीं है, बाद में बता दूंगा, टेंशन मत लो. ठीक है? सो इट्स कॉल्ड अ DOM नोड, राइट? सो दिस इज अ नोड इन द ट्री, राइट? बिकॉज DOM क्या होता है गाइस? DOM इज अ ट्री और HTML इज अ ट्री. व्हाट डज दैट मीन? देखो, आप कुछ भी कर लेना, आपका HTML फाइनली ऐसा ही दिखेगा. देयर इज गोइंग टू बी HTML टैग, राइट? इट्स गोइंग टू हैव टू चाइल्ड्स, एक बॉडी होगा, एक हेड होगा, राइट? हेड बॉडी के अंदर क्या होगा? बॉडी के अंदर मान लो एक डिव डाला बड़ा सा, एक और डिव डाल दिया, राइट? अब इस डिव के अंदर दुनिया भर की कहानी हो सकती है. एक और डिव हो सकता है जिसके अंदर एक यूएल थी, राइट? इस यूएल के अंदर बहुत सारे एलाइज थे, राइट? इस डिव के अंदर एक पीबी था, राइट? इस डिव के अंदर एक स्पैन भी था, जिसके अंदर एक h1 था. I mean, it can just go on and on, right? मतलब you can just build that story, है ना? कि but the point I'm trying to make is बनेगा हमेशा tree, right? So it's always going to be a tree, right? It's a tree-like structure. It's to put it in simple words, it's an n-ary tree, right? So having said that, every node of this tree, right? Every point of this tree is called a DOM node, right? Or a HTML node, कुछ भी बोलो, right? So these are all DOM nodes, right? जो सबसे नीचे वाले हैं, जिनके नीचे कुछ नहीं है, they're called leaf nodes, okay? Cool है, ठीक है? ओके, तो मैंने क्या किया? डॉक्यूमेंट डॉट गेट एलिमेंट्स बाय क्लास नेम. इसने मुझे बहुत सारे एलिमेंट्स दे दिए, ठीक है? बोला ना HTML कलेक्शन और DOM नोड्स का कलेक्शन, बट उस कलेक्शन में भी एक ही चीज है, उसका मुझे 0th चाइल्ड मतलब सबसे पहले वाला उठाना है. ये आरे वारे टर्मिनोलॉजीज है, मैं बाद में बता दूंगा, डोंट वरी, राइट? सो यू गेट दिस डिफ, राइट? अब गाइस, मैंने आपको क्या बोला था स्टार्टिंग में? जावास्क्रिप्ट इज फॉर चेंजिंग द बिहेवियर, राइट? मतलब इट्स फॉर अ लॉट ऑफ अदर थिंग्स, बट इट्स आल्सो फॉर चेंजिंग द बिहेवियर, राइट? सो अब मान लो मुझे इसके अंदर का टेक्स्ट चेंज करना है, राइट? सो आई कैन से डॉट इनर टेक्स्ट, राइट? सो जैसे मैंने डॉट इनर टेक्स्ट बोला, इट्स गिविंग मी item 2, राइट? And I can simply I can say equal to here, and I can type in whatever I want, right? And JavaScript will update the DOM or the HTML the HTML tree for us, right? So I said document.inner text is equal to hi from JS. Okay, what happens when I press enter? This happens. and I will unmute you all, and because I want to see your reaction. So what have we done? We selected a div, right? We took its inner text and we have updated the DOM. ये terminologies पे थोड़ा सा ध्यान. Updated the contents of the DOM, right? What can you change? You can change everything, right? So let's say मुझे इसका style change करना है, right? Style dot बहुत सारे styles होते हैं. मैं background color choose कर रहा हूँ यार. Background color, right? I'm calling it red. Right? So एक बात तो establish हो गई, right? JavaScript can help us update the DOM, right? Or update the HTML or update whatever. So anything and everything that is happening on the page can be changed, modified, updated, whatever you call it, with JavaScript, right? So it's an absolutely important language. Now, how this happens is something that we are going to spend next many months to learn, right? इसमें कोलन या सेमीकोलन यूज नहीं करते. It's not necessary to use it. But if you add it, it doesn't mind. Text update, not add. Okay, Zubair, if you want to point that out. Cool. No, of course, it's not changing the main code. See, like I told you the first day, browser cannot modify the main code. Because if that starts happening, it's a major security risk, right? Guys, I am telling you, don't go over the syntax right now. Let me be the teacher. I just wanted to show you the capability of JavaScript. उस पे क्वेश्चन पूछो. क्वेश्चन इस पे मत पूछो कि यहाँ पे लिखा क्या है. वो समझने में अगले 4 महीने उसी में लगाने हैं, right? Not 4 महीने, right? So we are going to understand the capabilities first. Again, don't be the teacher, let me be the teacher. Is the voice not clear for people? It's fine. Is it fine? Couple of more responses. Okay, it's clear. Okay, maybe some problem at your end. Okay, cool. So we understood what JS is capable of. Now we start diving deeper into it, right? Okay, cool. Cool, everyone, right? So we know that JavaScript can update the structure of the document, and we just learned a few things about JavaScript. And what we are now going to do is we are going to just dive deeper into it, right? So like I told you guys, JavaScript can change the HTML. It can also change the CSS. I told you a lot of things, right? I told you that we have edited the text also, and we've edited the style also, right? So clearly JavaScript can allow us to do both those things, right? So moving forward, also JavaScript can change the specific attributes of HTML, right? It is changing. There is nothing as overwrite. It's not a page in which you can overwrite. I think I'll stop the chat. Okay. So like, you know, it can update the style, it can update the content, right? And these are basic things. Of course, it can be used to hide and show elements also, right? Because we know that hiding and showing elements is nothing, but it's a factor of setting the style and the display, right? So let's say I wanted to hide this guy. I can say display is none, and it's just gone from the DOM, right? If I want to bring it back, I can say the display is block, and it just comes back, right? So these are also a few of the things that JavaScript can do, right? A lot of people have this question that are JavaScript and Java same or different languages, right? So I wanted to answer this once and for all. JavaScript and Java are completely different languages. They do not have anything in common, right? The concept is also different and the design is also different. Okay, cool. Right. So now we start looking at the fact that हम अपने HTML page में JavaScript डालते कहाँ हैं? ठीक है, guys? So that's what I want to start with. Okay. So in here, when you saw your regular HTML page, you saw that there was a style tag जहाँ पे हमने CSS डाली थी, right? Similarly, for inserting JavaScript, there is something which is called as a script tag. Okay. So when you want to insert JavaScript, you use the script tag. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I say script. Okay. And inside, I mean, in the realm or in between these two tags, I can just write whatever JavaScript I want to, right? So agar main abhi ke liye page reload karu, so everything just goes away, right? But now what I wanted to do, guys, is I wanted to, sort of write something on the page, right? For example, so to do that, what I'm going to do is I'll just take the script tag, and please remember that the script tag can be placed anywhere. It does not have to be inside the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it, let's say outside this div. Okay, so I'll just place it here, and jo script मैंने वहाँ पे लिखी थी, I'm just going to copy the same script. So I'll say document.get elements by class name. I'm going to say grandchild2, be this guy, right? Dot style, let's just change the inner text. So inner text is equal to, let's say, hi from JS. Right. So when we go to this page, right? So where is the page? Okay, when you go to this page, what do we expect, right? We expect that this page, iska text should change, right? So if I reload the browser now, and it did not change, let's see why that is happening. So it says one issue, right? That is not our issue though. I think it's just not saved here. Guys, are you able to see my screen? There's a browser problem. Guys, is the screen visible? Like, it is visible. Okay, cool. No worries. I'll just pause the chat again. Okay, cool. So what we did here is inside our script tag that we wrote, we have said document dot get element by class name, and we are saying dot inner text of it, and we are saying this hi from JS, right? But if you remember, right, this was returning us many elements, and we had to choose the first of them, right? So I choose 0, and when I reload, basically it starts saying hi from JS, right? Right. So what exactly happened when you reload the page, right? First, this page gets rendered as it is, then the script tag gets executed, okay? And only after the script tag gets executed, this guy changes, right? So the JavaScript run and it updates the DOM, or it updates the document, okay? So JavaScript is inserted in this manner on our browser, and yes, it has the capability, of course, of changing the behavior of HTML, right? So another common use case, which we do a lot of times, is having buttons, right? So I'm sure you guys have also used them all the time. In some of the classes of forms, we have done those things, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'll just put a button here, right? Okay. So this is what a button looks like. Cool. When the button is, and of course we'll just give it some name. Click me. Okay. When you say click me, now what I'll do here, guys, button का एक attribute होता है. जैसे there is a class attribute, there is an ID attribute, there are many attributes, right? So there is one of the attributes which is called onClick, right? What does onClick take? onClick takes some function value, right? So the function value that I'm going to give to this guy is, let's say, click me, right? So click me is basically the name of the function, right? So whenever you click the button, the function click me inside JavaScript will be called. Okay. And now I'll just take my script tag. I will move it upstairs, and I'll tell you why I'm doing this up and down. Don't worry, right? And inside JavaScript, basically we'll have to create a function which is called click me, right? Same, just like this function we have written, right? This is how you write a function in JavaScript. Don't worry, we'll talk about all of these things later. I just want to tell you about all the capabilities that JavaScript has right now. Okay. So, and let's say I call it change color. Go back to the browser, reload, right? So right now there is a button, which the name of that button is change color, right? So when you click this button, what will happen, guys, is this click me function is going to get called, right? When the click me function gets called, it's basically going to run this code and just show some result on the browser. Okay. Of course, it's just going to do this thing, right? What I have mentioned here. Okay. So let's try to understand that. I click change color, right? And nothing happened. Let's understand why. See, we had click me happen, right? And this was inside the script tag, right? And on click pay, we call this function. Can anyone think why nothing happened? It will be very interesting if someone can just just guess. I want to see you guys guess. Anyone? The chat is open. Okay. So see, what I'm telling you guys is if I just run this code here, it is changing the text, right? But it is not changing the color, right? Why is it? Correct. Give color. Yeah, very simple, right? Because we did not give the color property. So let's do two things, guys. We will also change the text, right? And we will also change the color of it, right? So what I'll do is I'll simply copy the statement here. So now when you run this function, two things are going to happen. Okay. So I reload. Everything is fine. So let's say change color and text. Reload. So now when I click this function, what should happen? Style will also change and text will also change. Boom. Making sense for everyone before I move forward? Got it, guys? Everyone? Okay, cool. This is nice. Okay. So what we are going to do is we have this thing, and yes, let's just build on top of it. Okay. So we saw that JavaScript, of course, has these capabilities, right? And JavaScript can do a lot of things. Okay. So when button is clicked, basically we are triggering a function. When something else is happening, Sai, I will explain this to you when I teach you arrays. Okay. Don't worry right now. For now, just understand it as it is. Okay, I'll explain it. Don't worry. In due time. Okay. Cool. One more thing, which is a very common practice, guys, is this, right? So just like we have JavaScript written here, right? What we should do as a good practice is this is called internal JavaScript. Okay, because right now whatever we are doing here is, I mean, a good practice is you should have HTML files in one place, CSS files in one place, and JavaScript files in yet another place. Okay. So what I'll do is what we did not do in CSS until now, we'll create a separate JavaScript file यहाँ पे. Okay. I'll call it index.js as a common practice. Okay. तो मैंने अपनी एक separate JS file बना दी. Whatever things I had written in the script tag, I just copy them and I'm going to paste them यहाँ पे index.js में. Right, guys? Now what we need to do is we need to, so that this JS file also gets loaded, right? With this, what we can do is we can simply say script tag का एक attribute होता है src, src means source. Okay, here I'm going to say index.js. So forget about this, I'm just going to say index.js. Okay, so and of course यहाँ पे जाके I'll just change, say loading from external. Okay, we load the page, let's see, and it works, right? So what have we accomplished, guys? अब हमारा HTML का कोड और हमारा JavaScript का कोड is separated. ठीक है? So whenever we want to write JavaScript, we will write it here in our index.js file अलग से, instead of having to mangle with the HTML. Same thing we can do with CSS also. It's just a one-liner like we have written here. Okay, but for now we'll just continue with this. Open the chat because it's a new topic. Clear, everyone? I have only moved the file and the content of JavaScript there. ठीक है, सब yes बोलो ना. Okay, ठीक है, बढ़िया बढ़िया बढ़िया. Let's go forward, right? Okay, but can anyone tell me what is the advantage that we have achieved by? अच्छा, मैं ही बता देता हूँ यार, पूछ कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है, one of the biggest advantages, guys, जब आप अपना कोड ऐसे चेंज कर देते हो, see, it's separating the UI. UI क्या होता है? जो HTML दिख रहा है from the logic layer. अब JavaScript तो logic है, right? Function है, इसको ये करने पे ये करो, तो this is logic layer. So basically you're separating the logic files from the UI file, which is a good practice, right? Second thing is it just makes code easier to read, है ना? Because what happens is if we keep writing everything here, it becomes very, very large and it becomes hard to read and debug, right? Easy to design, okay, you can say in some sense, but the point is whatever is easier to read, of course, it just becomes easier, okay? So abhi ke liye itna hi about this thing, right? Now, what we need to understand is the various ways, okay, in which we can drain the data to the browser, okay? इसका मतलब समझते हैं, guys. I'll just stop the chat again, right? तो आपने अभी देखा एक एग्जाम्पल wherein हमने कुछ टेक्स्ट था यहाँ पे. What was our text? Our text was loading from external file. यहाँ पे हमारा टेक्स्ट था loading from and the background color and something, right? And what we have done here is हमने इस सबको, मतलब basically what we have written is somehow getting reflected on the browser, or I can say it's an output there, right? So there are various ways for giving an output, right? So I will talk about 4 of them. Okay. So the first one is, let's call it inner text, right? जो हमने यहाँ पे लिखा है. So it's inner text, wherein आप क्या कर रहे हैं, जो आपके HTML का inner text है, guys, आप उसको change कर रहे हैं, right? The second one is something called as document.write. Never use this, not advisable. ठीक है? करता क्या है देख लेते हैं यार. Okay, so when you say document.write something, let's just try it out. Okay, so I'm just going to say document.write my first JS program or JavaScript first. Okay, that's all I'm doing. I go to the browser, reload so that JavaScript के changes load हो जाए. Changes load हो गए. Right? Click this. Did you see what happened? I'll tell you what happened. आपका जितना भी डॉक्यूमेंट था, जितना भी HTML था, जावास्क्रिप्ट ने उस पूरे को हटा दिया एंड उसने इसको सिर्फ इस टेक्स्ट के साथ अपडेट कर दिया, राइट? दोबारा देख लेते हैं. When I'm clicking this, I'll show you elements because element basically shows you जो भी चीजें इसके अंदर प्रेजेंट है, राइट? तो अभी के लिए यहाँ पे ग्रिड है, सब कुछ है, गाइस, राइट? The moment I click this, JavaScript will simply remove everything जो बॉडी के अंदर था और वहां पे वो टेक्स्ट डाल देगी. So never use this is the basic point. Chat is open. समझ में आया? Document.write क्या करता है? Right? It will just flash all the content and it will just put it here. right? Of course, there are some advantages of this technique, but it's most of the time it's useless. Okay. In JavaScript, I will repeat, in JavaScript, whenever you say document.write, it will basically remove everything which was present inside your body, right? And it will replace this by that content, right? So मैंने इस button के click पे I have written document.write, my first JavaScript program. I'm going to click this here. I click this, and right side में दिखते रहना, just keep looking at it here. Okay. I say click, and everything is replaced. Understood? So right now there's no point of difficult or easy. Basically, I'm just telling you that ऐसा भी होता है, ऐसा भी होता है, ऐसा भी होता है, right, Akash? So we are not talking about anything difficult. Basically, I'm telling you a few things, right? So I told you two things abhi tak. That's all I've done. I've told you that you can drain data. आप JavaScript से HTML के पेज पे डेटा किस किस तरीके से डाल सकते हैं. पहला तरीका मैंने आपको बताया इनर टेक्स्ट, ठीक है. दूसरा तरीका मैंने बताया आपको document.write. इनर टेक्स्ट क्या था? आपने कोई HTML एलिमेंट चूज किया, जैसे CSS में सेलेक्टर होते हैं, whatever, and you change something inside it, right? So I'm going to remove this abhi, right? Instead of removing, guys, what we can also do is something called as comment, right? So comment का क्या मतलब होता है? When I put 2 slashes here, now JavaScript will simply not read this line. So it's called a comment, right? And this is typically used to tell, मतलब जब आप अपना code पढ़ो, so it becomes easier for you to read, right? So maybe I can just write here, this function changes color of the button and enters some text there too. Okay. So JavaScript is not going to read this, right? This is for your own readability. Okay. So I reload, nothing changes. But अब मैंने document.write हटा दिया है. So that thing is not going to happen. When I click this, two things. एक तो हमने उसका text बदल दिया और हमने एक तो background का color बदल दिया. Right? Guys, did everyone understand? Nothing is complicated here. We know only two things. हमें ज़्यादा पता ही नहीं है. हमें तो सिर्फ ये पता है that either we can change the inner text of the div, which we have done like this. We can change the background color of div, which we can do like this. इससे ज़्यादा तो मैंने कुछ बोला ही नहीं. So what is hard about this? Is there anything hard, Tarun? कुछ मुश्किल है इसमें? Bharti? Anyone? Okay. So let's move to the next thing. Okay. So like I said, once repeat. There is no code, Akash. That's what I'm telling you now. So code pattern is fine, but there is no code that we've written. We've just written one line. So the only JavaScript, guys, जो हमने अब तक लिखी है is this line, and the above line, which is pretty much similar, right? So don't complicate this any more than it has to be. Believe me, we are just entering it. Okay, the last part. मैंने क्या बोला? We are trying to understand JavaScript and use it. तो मैंने पहली चीज बोली that hey, what are the ways in which you can use JavaScript to write data onto this HTML page? ठीक है. पहला तरीका मैंने आपको बताया inner text use करके, right? इसको हटा देते हैं यार ये, right? मैंने ऐसे inner text is equal to something, उस वाली क्लास का जो grad child 2 है, उस क्लास का inner text बदल गया. ठीक है, फर्स्ट थिंग. सेकेंड चीज मैंने आपको बताया जो ये वाला है document.write. अब मैं उसको हटा देता, मतलब does not matter. What this does is it will remove everything from body and सिर्फ ये चीज लिख देगा पेज पे, right? So reload, click the button, my first JS program, right? Those are the only two things that we've talked about. Yes, it's not an incomplete programming language. There is nothing like that. What if we use script tag and body tag? Let's try it out since everyone is talking about it. I'm copying the script tag and I'm pasting it inside the body. Okay, I'm reloading the page. It still works. How am I striking the element? Where am I striking the element? Which line can you pinpoint? Guys, now you guys are talking random things. Okay, can you focus on what I'm telling and not assuming and doing these things? Believe me, you will know all of these answers, right? Just be patient. Okay, this thing means not striking. This means a comment. मैंने पहले भी बताया था आपको, जब आप डबल स्लैश के आगे कुछ भी लिखते हैं जावास्क्रिप्ट में, दैट लाइन इज बेसिकली नॉट रेड बाय जावास्क्रिप्ट. उसको जावास्क्रिप्ट नहीं पढ़ती, सिर्फ हम पढ़ रहे हैं, राइट? So basically, if I want to make something invisible for JavaScript compiler, I can just comment it. How do I comment things in JavaScript? By adding 2 slashes here. Okay. Now, whatever I have written does not work, right? This thing does not work. Clear? It's a comment. Okay. Okay. Now JavaScript has started to read this and उसको समझ नहीं आ रहा ये English क्या लिखी हुई. JavaScript does not understand English, right? So I comment this. Now everything is fine. Okay. Okay. Getting back to what I was talking about, I was saying a few things. I was telling you what are the various ways in which we can drain the data to JavaScript. Okay. तो पहला मैंने आपको बताया inner text, वो हम सब समझ गए. दूसरा मैंने आपको बताया document.write, वो भी हम समझ गए. Third, or a very popular one, is something called as alert, right? So उसके लिए we use something called as window. इधर देखना, window.alert, right? Window.alert के अंदर basically we are able to bring something on the web page as an alert, right? यहाँ पे करते हैं. So I say window.alert and I'll say alert message. Okay. So now I'll just comment this also. So now when I click that button, what should happen is we should get an alert message. How does it look like? Let's see. Right. So this page says alert message. Got it? So you must have also seen बहुत सारे pages में क्या होता है that when you're trying to refresh or reload, it says content may get removed, right? The form will be resubmitted. These are the alerts that JavaScript can give you. So how it is done? It is done using window.alert. Got it? Nothing special here, just knowledge based thing. Okay, no concept involved. Click this, you get an alert. That's it. You press OK, the alert closes. Sai, what shall I repeat here? That's what I'm not trying to understand. I just said when you do window.alert, right? And when this button is clicked, basically this line of code will get executed and will show you an alert message. What do you want me to repeat? Oh, alert is not visible. Got it. Oh, got it. Guys, why that is happening, I'll explain to you. Is basically Zoom mein, I have shared my screen with you, right? I have shared the browser screen with you. What is going to happen is it's not going to show you that. So I'll just show you what it looks like. Okay, सबके पास browser hai? Does everyone have a browser? Okay, this is what I want you guys to do. Browser पे जाओ, right? Right click, click inspect, then go to console. यहाँ पे दिख जाएगा ऊपर में, या फिर आपका जहाँ पे भी खुल रहा है, it depends on your browser. Okay, just type this line and press enter and tell me what you see. Everyone do it. An exercise for all of you. You'll have fun. Do it. क्या करना है? I'll tell you again. Go to the browser, right click, click inspect, right? This something like this window will open. Go to console, type this. I'll put it on the chat. क्या type करना है? What happened, Akash? Can you tell everyone? Everyone, try karo yaar. Correct. So you get a dialog saying this page shows alert message. Okay? That's the concept that I was trying to tell you. Everyone, अरे करो ना भाई साहब, जल्दी बताओ कर लिया तो. It's a 1-minute job. It's working, right, Saurabh? Done, Pankaj. Sadik का भी हो गया. Mayank is always done. Sumit is also done. Shavendra is done. Sumit is done. रिजवान का भी हो गया, नाइस। भारती इज ऑल्सो डन। एवरीवन कम ऑन यार, डू इट। जिसका नहीं हुआ वो भी तो बताओ ना। डन, राइट? राइट, बस बढ़िया, सबका हो गया। So now we know how to create a pop-up, right? So basically the third thing जो हमने सीखा guys is about this is the third way of, you know, putting data from JavaScript on our HTML page, right? तो हमने 3 तरीके सीख लिया। एंटर दबाना है प्रशांत भाई, कंसोल में जाओ, मैसेज लिख, ये चीज लिखो और एंटर दबा दो। गो हियर, प्रेस एंटर। ओके, सबका हो गया, वेरी नाइस। ठीक है, द थर्ड थिंग विच आई वांट टू टेल यू, विच इज परहैप्स द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट वन, ये आपको डिबग करने में बहुत हेल्प करता है गाइस, इज console.log, right? It's the most popular one. So I say console.log, and whatever I write here, let's say I write here click me function called, right? So the third one is console.log. Okay, there are many more, but अभी के लिए हम इतने ही सीखेंगे, right? So this is my console, right? आप भी अपने ब्राउजर पे खोल के देख सकते हैं। Now I'm going to click this, right? I click this and यहाँ पे क्या लिखा रहा है guys? It's saying index.js में 6th line पे, 6th line देख लेते हैं, this is the 6th line, very good, is from where this code or this text is coming from, right? So 4 things: inner text, document.write, window.alert, and console log. Are we clear? Are we absolutely clear, people? सबको समझ आ गया? Is there anyone who has any doubt that I can help you with? Don't worry, it will not be tricky. You will just take these things for granted बहुत जल्दी. Repeat once. Sure. See, what is there to repeat? So what we have done, guys, मैं आपको चारों दिखा देता हूँ दोबारा, right? हमने बोला कि there are 4 things of draining data in JavaScript, right? The first one that I told you is inner text. ठीक है? तो मैंने inner text को uncomment कर दिया. यहाँ पे है reload किया. So what have we written? Inner text of grid child 2 is loading from external file. इसको click कर दो, text बदल गया. ठीक है? ठीक है? दूसरा देख लेते हैं. दूसरा था document.write, उसको uncomment कर देता हूँ. So when you click this button, click me function चलेगा और ये वाली चीज हो जाएगी, right? You click this, what it does is reload. What it does is it reloads and it says my first JS program. ठीक है? document.write से वो भी आ गया, right? Third, window.alert, ये आप सबने करके देखा है, so this I don't have to tell you and this I will not be able to tell you also, right? Final, console.log. console.log से जो भी चीज करोगे वो ब्राउजर पे कहीं पे नहीं आएगी, वो आपके कंसोल में आ जाएगी, जावास्क्रिप्ट कंसोल में, over here, right? So I click this and it says click me function called. Understood, everyone? Okay, Bharti has a good question. Bharti, what happens is whenever you write something in JavaScript console, it shows you the return value of it, right? So मैं आपको बाद में समझाऊंगा return value क्या होता है. But for now, it just means कि वो कुछ return नहीं करता. So JavaScript में जब कोई चीज कुछ return नहीं करती, हम उसको undefined बोलते हैं. ठीक है? अगर आपको दोबारा कोड लिखना पड़ेगा हटाने के लिए, उसको चेंज करने के लिए. Console won't see browser, why we need to write? You need to write because you will be using this console for debugging. Debugging का मतलब होता है whatever you are writing in your code, आपको you should have a means to look at it, right? Clear? Are there any relevant questions, guys? बाकी बातें तो हम करते रहेंगे. डीबग बताऊंगा बाद में क्या होता है, डोंट वरी। अभी के लिए आर वी क्लियर? अरे तरुण भाई बुक का लिंक दे दूंगा, अभी पढ़ लो ना यार। जब मैंने ही बोला देके जाऊंगा ना लिंक। ठीक है, सबको समझ में आ गया? ठीक है, वेरी नाइस गाइज, टुडे देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ गुड रिस्पांस फ्रॉम एवरीवन। इसका मतलब सबको समझ आ रहा है, ऐसे ही चलता रहता है। ठीक है, सो हमने सारे देख लिए, डॉक्यूमेंट डॉट राइट क्या करता है, कंसोल डॉट लॉग क्या करता है, सब कुछ देख लिया गाइज। ठीक है, राइट। एक और बहुत कूल वाला देखना है किसी को? Does anyone want to see a very cool output? बहुत क्लियर, बहुत कूल है। ठीक है, इट्स कॉल्ड प्रिंट। गेस कर सकते हो उससे क्या होता होगा? सो इफ आई से विंडो डॉट प्रिंट, ठीक है, करके देखिए क्या होता है। अगेन यू विल हैव टू डू इट, आई वोंट बी एबल टू डू इट। जस्ट गो टू योर कंसोल, क्रोम कंसोल पे जाओ, विंडो डॉट प्रिंट लिख दो और मुझे बताओ क्या होता है। गो अहेड, डू इट। विंडो डॉट प्रिंट लिख दो कंसोल में जाके एंड टेल मी व्हाट हैपेंस। कम ऑन गाइस, टेल मी, कोई तो बताओ। यस यस, सो इट ओपन्स द प्रिंट पेज। अरे साई, यू डोंट हैव टू प्रिंट यार, प्रिंटर थोड़ी ना कनेक्टेड है आपके कंप्यूटर से, इट्स फॉर प्रिंटिंग द पेज ऑन अ फिजिकल प्रिंटर, राइट? सो आई वाज जस्ट ट्राइंग टू टेल यू दैट कुछ वेबसाइट्स होती हैं in which it says click this button for print preview, click this button for printing, right? So that's how they do it. वो जावास्क्रिप्ट का कोड लिख देते हैं बटन के पीछे, on click of that button they called window.print. Got it? So this is just for your knowledge. Clear? Now you know how to do it from code also. So now when you look at a website जहाँ पे आपको दिखता है कहीं पे लगा होता है कि click this to print and whatever, this is how it's done. Okay, so it's a good thing now आपने को ये भी आता है, right guys? इतना easy था भाई अजहर भाई। With the power of JavaScript, you can do anything with the web page. Okay, ठीक है. Now let's actually start talking about JavaScript. Okay, so अभी तक हमने क्या बात की, JavaScript क्या करती है, JavaScript से हम HTML में डेटा कैसे पहुंचा सकते हैं, which was very important because आपको ये तो पता होना चाहिए आप पढ़ क्यों रहे हो, right? So that is something what we have learned. Now let's come to few aspects of JavaScript. Okay, right? So guys, in any language there is a concept of statements. Okay, statement क्या होता है? Whenever you write one line, right, it's called one statement. Okay, so what we are going to do is what I had told you earlier. जैसे अभी हम क्या कर रहे थे, let's say you have to add two variables, right? Let's say you had to add two variables. Or what are variables? Variables are basically containers used to store data, right? This is a programming language का concept, nothing specific to JavaScript. Okay, so variables are containers जिसमें हम data store करते हैं, right? Data क्या हो सकता है? Data can be a number, it can be let's say 1, it can be a string, जो भी आपका alphabets होते हैं उनको string कहते हैं, right? So this is a string, statements, ठीक है? Basically text is what I'm talking about, right? So हमने जहाँ पे भी ये सब चीजें की, जो भी हमने यहाँ पे string लिखी, right? So we have to enclose it either in single quote or in double quote in JavaScript, right? Okay, so let's say I said this is a string. Okay, now what are variables? Variables are used to store data, मैंने आपको बताया, right? And data can be of any type, it can be a string, it can be a number or whatever, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll declare a variable, right? Variable कैसे declare करते हैं? Variable declare करने का ये मतलब होता है it gives you a empty box, right? So how do you do that in JavaScript? You say let variable का नाम, right? Variable का नाम कुछ भी हो सकता है. Let's say I call it my val. Okay, and then you give it some value, right? सो आई गिव इट वैल्यू जो मैंने आपको यहाँ पे दी, दिस इज अ स्ट्रिंग. ठीक है, गॉट इट गाइस. मैंने एक मायवार वेरिएबल लिया, मतलब एक डब्बा लिया, उसके अंदर एक डेटा टाइप डाल दिया, यानी कि स्ट्रिंग डाल दी. ठीक है, अब लेट्स से मुझे इस स्ट्रिंग को लॉग कराना था यहाँ पे, राइट. सो अर्लियर हम क्या कर रहे थे, if you remember, we were doing document dot get element by class name grid child inner text hi from JS, right. अब हम instead of writing this ऐसा, we can just say my var, right. And when you press enter, यहाँ पे change देखना item 2 पे, it says this is a string, right. So basically what we have done is we have given this value to a container or to a variable. Understood? You don't have to define types. JavaScript में types नहीं होते, right? If someone is coming from different programming language, ठीक है? Now you can also put a number here. So what I could have also done is let x is equal to 1, right? Okay, and it's a good so let x is equal to 1 is one statement, ठीक है? You may or may not put semicolon at the end of it, right? सेमीकोलन बताने के लिए होता है कि ये एक स्टेटमेंट है. इट्स अ गुड प्रैक्टिस, बट जावास्क्रिप्ट इज वेरी स्मार्ट. अगर नहीं भी डालोगे तो चल जाएगा. सो व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू इज आई से लेट x इज इक्वल टू 1, आई प्रेस एंटर. आई से लेट y इज इक्वल टू 2, आई प्रेस एंटर. तो अभी क्या हुआ है गाइस, x की वैल्यू 1, x के अंदर 1 चला गया, y के अंदर 2 चला गया, राइट. सो लेट्स से आई वांट टू से x प्लस y, मतलब मैं z में उन दोनों का सम स्टोर करना चाहता हूँ. सो व्हाट आई कैन डू इज आई कैन से लेट z इज इक्वल टू x प्लस y, right. What that will do, it will store variable of the sum of these two in z. हम कैसे चेक कर सकते हैं? We'll say console.log and I'll say z. ठीक है, एंटर करो. What is the value that you get? It prints or it writes 3 to the console. ठीक है. No, it has nothing to do with classes in CSS. Please don't bring that up. अभी समझ लो. Right? So we have talked about variable. Okay, like I told you guys, undefined क्यों दे रहा है? तो दो चीजें हुआ यहाँ पे. जब आपने console.log लिखा, तो console.log का क्या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी था? कंसोल पे कुछ लिख देना, बेसिकली जो भी आपने उसको लिखने के लिए बोला. तो हमने 3 लिखने को बोला तो उसने 3 लिख दिया, राइट. बट नाउ देयर इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ रिटर्न टाइप, राइट. What does console.log return? तो console.log कुछ रिटर्न नहीं करता. उसका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होता है कंसोल पे, यानी कि इन दिस विंडो कुछ लिख देना जो आपने बोला, राइट. सो console.log does not return anything. So we have given a value to a variable and then we are printing it, right. It's called printing. कंसोल पे किसी चीज को दिखाना is called printing and we are printing it to the console. समझ में आ गया अनडिफाइंड क्यों आ रहा है? जब बाद में रिटर्न टाइप्स की बात करेंगे तब अच्छे से समझ आएगा. अभी के लिए इतना जान लो. console.log does not have a return type. That's why it happens. ओके, आगे चलें. ओवर तो नहीं हो रहा गाइस किसी के लिए भी? आई होप दिस इज नॉट टू मच. नो, राइट, कूल. लेट्स जस्ट कवर अ फ्यू मोर कॉन्सेप्ट. ठीक है, ओके. So we talked about statements. We saw how we can use them, right? And now I also wanted to talk about few other things with you guys. ठीक है, हमने statements तो समझ लिया क्या होता है, right? If in a formal definition, computer program क्या होता है, code क्या होता है, right? Computer code is a list of instructions, right? Instructions को, हर एक line of instruction को statement कहते हैं, right? So JavaScript का अगर आप कभी भी कोड देखेंगे guys, so it's a list of statements, right? So all of these things that we wrote here, if I uncomment these, इसके अलावा this was actually a comment, right? These are all statements. So this is a statement, this is a statement, this is a statement, this is a statement, this is a statement. तो आप इनको identify कैसे कर सकते हो? Each of these statements does the job of performing something, right? तो इसका क्या काम है? JavaScript को एक instruction देना कि भाई पूरे डॉक्यूमेंट को उड़ा दो और इसमें ये चीज लिख दो. इसका काम है टेक्स्ट को बदलना, इसका काम है प्रॉम्प्ट देना, इसका काम है कंसोल पे लिखना, इसका काम है प्रिंट कराना. सो एनी इंस्ट्रक्शन इन जावास्क्रिप्ट इज कॉल्ड अ स्टेटमेंट, राइट. Clear? Everyone, what are statements? We're clear? Yes or no? Okay, good. So we know what are statements, right? And JavaScript statements can be comprised of many things. Okay. Right. And yes, that's about statements. Okay. What is the next thing that we have to study? Again, it's a good practice to add statements, right? When you are, to add semicolons when you are practicing, right? Because otherwise, देखो क्या होता है? Let's say I'm saying let a is equal to 2, and I say let b is equal to 3, right? So JavaScript is not able to understand. अगर आप इन दोनों को अलग-अलग लाइन में लिखते हो, then JavaScript is fine, okay? But if you want to write them in one line, so the good idea is you put a semicolon. Semicolon से JavaScript को पता लग जाएगा that hey, he's talking about two different things, two different statements, right? So if you want to write everything in one line, don't do that ever. The way to do it is add semicolons. So it's a good practice to add semicolons because they are different statements. So each statement or each instruction है ना, आपने बोला A के अंदर 2 डाल दो, B के अंदर 3 डाल दो. This is an instruction to JavaScript. Got it? अमित बाद में बताऊंगा जब वेरिएबल्स पाऊंगा, टाइम दो. अभी बस जान लो what is how do we declare variables. We'll go slow यार. ठीक है, तो हमने ये भी सीख लिया, राइट? एक चीज और समझते हैं जावास्क्रिप्ट के बारे में. जावास्क्रिप्ट इज अ केस इंसेंसिटिव लैंग्वेज. इसका क्या मतलब होता है, बात समझो. लेट्स से आई से लेट a is equal to 2, right? And let's say I say let a is equal to this thing, I mean this weird thing, right? Both statements are valid. So any white space, इसको white space कहते हैं in JavaScript. JavaScript does not worry about it, right? No, Saurabh, bad question. It's CSS is completely different. Forget about everything about CSS, right? Okay. तो हमने देख लिया white space क्या होता है, right? Okay. Now a few more things, right? Since we are defining things, guys, since it's case, it's like I mean it's white space insensitive. इसका automatically मतलब हो जाता है that it becomes line insensitive also, line break insensitive also, right? इसका मतलब मैं आपको बताता हूँ what I'm trying to tell you. I'm saying, let's say आपको इसका text change करना था, right? So you can say जो हमारा पहला था document dot inner text, अगर मैं is equal to के बाद एक लाइन छोड़ दूं और यहाँ पे लिखूं new line, right? It still does the same job, right? So basically this thing or this thing, they are not different, right? JavaScript will ignore it. अगर 2-4 लाइन भी छोड़ दोगे, then also it's the same thing. Got it? Case insensitive, line insensitive. Now enough. Okay. Let me see if I had planned something. I just want to talk about 2-3 more things and then I'll stop. Okay? Just small definitions. Don't worry. Right? So guys, हमने statements की बात की, हमने line breaks की बात की, white spaces की बात की, right? Now one more thing we'll talk about. We'll talk about code blocks. ठीक है? Code blocks क्या होते हैं JavaScript में? Anything which is bounded by these two braces, right, is called a code block, right? So अगर आपने देखा हो यहाँ पे we have written this function, right? So all these things inside this function are bounded by these two things, right? And that's why it's a code block. So anything between this is called a code block. Okay. So let's say I write a function ABC, right? And whatever you write in here is called a code block, right? Between this anything bounded by curly brace is a code block, right? So this, and one final thing before we stop for the day, is what are keywords, right? तो guys, keywords क्या होते हैं जावास्क्रिप्ट में या किसी भी लैंग्वेज में? ये वो स्पेसिफिक रिजर्व्ड सेट ऑफ keywords होते हैं which are specific to that language, right? So abhi ke liye, if I say, you know, what I'm trying to tell you is you cannot make a variable jiska naam function ho, right? So I can't say, so hum bol sakte hain let x is equal to 1, right? But aap ye bhi likh sakte ho x a r v I t is equal to function something, right? But aap ye nahi likh sakte let function is equal to 1, right? This is a wrong statement, right? Because this keyword, the function keyword, JavaScript is reserving for itself. Let keyword, JavaScript is reserving for itself, right? तो आप एक ऐसा वेरिएबल नहीं बना सकते जिसका नाम let हो, right? So I can't say let is equal to 4. This is a wrong statement, right? So this is the concept of reserved keywords. ऐसे बहुत सारे reserved keywords होते हैं, जैसे जैसे अपन concept सीखते जाएंगे JavaScript में, we learn them. So today we have learned the reserved keyword function, and we have learned the reserved keyword let, right? Let does not mean anything. Let is a way of declaring a variable in JavaScript. So when I want to declare a variable, let's say I want to declare a variable jiska naam r hai, so I can say let r is equal to 8, right? Now r becomes 8. That's it. So when we use let a is equal to 5, can we call a in place of a? No, Amit. Variable names तो case sensitive होंगे ना, because let a is equal to 3, let a is equal to 4, right? These are two different variables. a 4 है और मैंने उसको भी 4 ही कर दिया, my bad. Oh, that was 3. So JavaScript is case insensitive, right? Yes, I said case sensitive. I don't know why I uttered insensitive. It is sensitive in the sense that आप फंक्शन को ऐसे नहीं लिख सकते, right? आप फंक्शन को ऐसे ही लिख सकते हो, right? So it's case sensitive. Got it? Clear, na? Yes. The book which I was talking about, I'll just share it with you guys, and you guys can start reading it. Okay? Are you able to see?